My name is Ian Collin. We convened a session called, delivery addiction, or sort of some of the symptoms or the byproducts of being addicted to delivery. So the premise here is, we'll start the time, is that when you transition to iterative methods, it's pretty easy to become pretty enamored with the ability to deliver features frequently. With that comes some potential pitfalls. So we talked about building debt in 3 different areas. Technical debt, which I think most people are familiar with, and that's where we spend most of our time. Functional debt, which is maybe a little less obvious, but when you're adding features into a software product, iteration after iteration, eventually, if you're not doing it in a way that keeps the product functionally cohesive, you will build up functional debt within the product. So, and then human debt. So from a team or individual perspective, with addiction to delivery, when everyone's enamored with delivering feature after feature, iteration after iteration, the team can start to look inward and not look outward, and you end up with you lose some balance there in terms of people growing, keeping current with technologies, practices, and those kinds of things. So those are the 3 areas. We spent most of the time on technical debt. We talked about detection of technical debt. Some of the more interesting stuff here was the ratio of time it takes to get a technical task started. So the developer picks up the task, and they're foraging around in the code to try to figure out how to get started. That's a clear indicator of technical debt if that ratio is really high. Code coverage and static code analysis is another way you can trend that over time to really know. The time to get a new developer up to speed on your code base is a pretty clear indicator of debt. Also, a code-based succometer. Crap4j is an automated one, but there's also a manual one. You just basically pull the team at the end. I know some folks that just pull the team at the end of each iteration with how do you feel, and how do you feel about the code base, and that kind of thing. And that's and trend that over time. So assess it by release and iteration. Dave got up and talked about how if you see that if you're trending some metrics and you're tracking your delivery in terms of points versus maybe something like unit tests or some other measure of the adherence to a good practice, and you see this gap growing, you're building up a regression deficit, which is a pretty interesting way of looking at it. That's all I got. There's plenty more, but that's it.